All right, you're welcome back. It's still the weekend show, and we are on ABS television. This morning, we'll be looking at a very important issue. Um, we always talked about how to develop Anambra State, and the present administration under Professor Charles Kwoma Soludo, CFR, has shown capacity and commitment to deliver that. But there is something we as a people can do from our own aspects.
And you know, when the government came into power, they did say that they were going to run a partnership government, the public-private community partnership. That's the first time we're hearing. Most times we get to hear PPP,
Yes, exactly.
public-private partnership. But this time around, this government included communities. And it seems as if most of us don't understand the role that communities have to play in this kind of government and this kind of partnership. So today we're here to look at the role of this government in the PPCP model of partnership. And then, sorry, excuse me. And our guest this morning is somebody who can do justice to that. He's the Transition Committee Chairman of the North Local Government Area of Anambra State. I'm talking about Mr. Ogochukwu Ekweme. Sir, you're welcome to the weekend show.
Good morning, dear viewers.
The last time you came here, we spoke about how prepared the government was about the weather, and at the end of the day, we did see most of the things you spoke about come to pass. So today we felt you will be the one to do justice to that. So my question will be, when we say communities now, most people think we're talking about community leaders. And some people feel that we're talking about the government set up what's it called, PGs and things. So when we're talking about communities, what exactly are we looking at?
Thank you. Well, like you said, it's a new concept. Everybody knows about public-private partnerships. Well, this is now at the community level. Everyone knows government's resources are not unlimited. So you must think of genius ways to be able to bring development to your people. Public-private community partnership just means the community partnering with the government to deliver dividends of democracy, to deliver developmental projects. It doesn't mean just the PG alone, or the Igwe, or maybe the transition chairman of the local government. It means the community itself. Every community we know probably has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 well-to-do people. The idea is to harness the expertise of these people within the community, harness their resources to be able to deliver on developmental projects. So that is basically what it's about. It doesn't single out 1 or 2 people in the community. It's not doesn't single out the PG or the Igwe, but the community as a whole. The idea is for the community to come together and partner with governments to provide some of these services themselves.
All right, help us understand more about the scope of this concept, because some of us who are very regular when it comes to news must have had PPCP over time, and you've actually talked about how the community, or what the community means in that PPCP. But in a whole picture, how would you paint it? How can we understand this development model of the present administration?
Well, I'm sure you've both heard the phrase, and our viewers have heard the phrase "akuluono," simply meaning bring your wealth back home. Our home is our home. I hope to retire in Oko, my hometown, at some point. That's where I'm from. I love my state, I love my community, and I would rather not stay anywhere else. But for me to be able to stay there comfortably, it has to be developed enough. I have to have water, good roads, so on and so forth, for me to enjoy retiring in my hometown. I'm so far away from retiring anyway. So that's basically what it is. I'll give an instance. I think the budget for Anambra State this year is about 410 billion naira. The capital side of that is 76%, which is around 313. If you divide that across 21 local governments, that's 14 billion naira each. Obviously, the bigger ones may get more. In my local government, for instance, one project, even though a signature project, Amansi Ofuma Road, cost 8.5 billion naira, which means that there's practically there's 6 billion left to deal with everything else. It's impossible at the current rate for government to deal with all the issues across the state, no matter how hard they try. And that's why this concept is gaining ground, is gaining momentum as a developmental model to assist governments. Because at the end of the day, the state belongs to all of us, not just Mr. Governor. He will do his bit as the governor, but we too must do our bit as Anambra indigents. So it's gaining ground, it's gaining momentum. The idea is simply communities come and engage with governments. Let's partner and develop your communities. Not that governments will keep quiet or remove their hands, but in addition to what the government is doing in various communities, the idea is for communities to also take up the baton and try to do one or two things as well.
All right, but I'd like to find out, is it working so far? Is it working? Will you say it is working, or will you say
people are having a true bias?
Yes, people are used to what the government can do for them. People are used to people are used to being on the receiving end.
Yes.
And now you're saying, some people will view it from the angle of, so after I've paid you tax, I still come and give you money to help. Some people would rather use their money for all this philanthropy thing, come back Christmas, share bag of rice. So I know it's actually a difficult one, being a new kind of partnership. So far, is it working?
Well, just like you said, it's a difficult one, being a new concept. Because with every new concept, let's be honest, Ndimadu are skeptical of governments.
Exactly.
When the government comes up with this idea or that idea, they feel that the government has found a way to come and confuse them or cheat them. People are generally skeptical. And we don't blame them, because it's from years back experience and so on and so forth. So with every new concept that is not known to man, so to speak, it's always difficult to get the buy-in of Ndimadu. But you have to keep on and keep on and keep on. And so far, so good. It's not as much as, for instance, I would like in my local government or Mr. Governor would like across the state. But we're beginning to see
In fact,
some flashes of brilliance, so to speak, in that direction. Neni, for instance, anywhere Mr. Governor goes and talks about PPCP, he refers to Neni, who don't even come to government. They came together and have done probably 20 kilometers of road. I don't know if you know what 20 in a community, 27 kilometers of roads. Now I think they're coming together to resuscitate their water scheme, so on and so forth, on their own. This is power of a community coming together. We all know Nene has a lot of billionaires, but at least they are putting money to good use. In my community, for instance, in Oko, one man is doing about 5 kilometers of road as we speak, renovating about 8 classroom blocks. It's provided houses for about 10 widows. So people are keen to it little by little. But what I'd like to see is a more communal effort instead of the individual, only with 10 million, only with 10K. If communities can come together, decide, okay, what project can we do as a community together, pull the resources together, we'll begin to see more effects. So, like everything new, it's slow to take off, but we're beginning to see the results little by little.
but I'd like to know, anybody following our conversation will say, oh, so the PPCP team, Bunkendi Diego. So I'd like to know, I understand the aspect of the importance of finance in everything we're doing running government. But is there a role in this sort of partnership for people who feel, I don't have the money to support? Is there any other thing apart from financial strength that can be brought to the table? Like we have villagers, people in the community. We have people that are doing well where they are, but maybe they don't have the finance. Is there anything they can bring to the table?
Yes, of course. I mean, like any new concept, there are still gray areas. But I am sure that when we talk about public-private community partnership, it's not only about building roads, building hospitals or whatever. There are other little things the community can partner governments with. Environmental sanitation, waste disposal, for instance. These are places we can partner. Community can come out and own this. We don't want to live. It doesn't require much. It requires resources, but not as much as roads and hospitals and the rest. And then also expertise. Expertise. Within the communities, there are a lot of people with experience. Maybe stone carvers, masons, so on and so forth. They can provide those services. I don't think it's only about financial resources. There's brain work, there are ideas. And that's why when we talk about this community partnership, it's the community that should come to, they are the ones who best know what
They can offer.
what priority they have or what needs they have. They can first of all bring that, and they also have those local talent and resources. It's the community that knows, oh, this man has been skilled in masonry work for the past 20 years. So I don't think it's only about financial resources.
Yeah. And then talking about also owning government projects, because most times people will feel like this is government property. How can this ideology or model encourage people to understand that even that road that government has succeeded in doing under this administration in your community, how can that mindset also help you to protect such projects?
Very good question. A major problem in this nation is generally that maintenance culture. Governments will provide infrastructure, provide services, and then maybe 20 years later, your government is coming back to redo that same project they have done 20 years before. It's that lack of ownership. You can be passing by a road or passing by maybe street lights and you see somebody vandalizing it and then you don't bother because you feel non-get government. Now, at this community partnership, obviously if a community is doing something themselves, doing drainages, doing roads, and they see somebody, I don't think they would react the same way. And that's why it's a partnership. I'm sure as government and communities are talking, the same way they can protect the ones the community drove themselves, it's the same way they can begin to protect and keep an eye on the ones governments have done themselves. So it's a good way of also encouraging the community to also, at the same time, apart from the projects they are involved in, but to also begin to keep an eye out for government infrastructure in their communities.
All right, sorry. How can also, like you mentioned, you said that these communities are the people who understand their areas of need. Now, for communities that have some of these things, or communities that haven't explored, you cited the model and NNE and what they've been able to do. How can maybe a PG now, who just came into power and has identified one or two needs that they have, how can that PG harmonize those needs and mobilize his people to achieve such targets? And if possible, if it's something they cannot do themselves, how can they bring in government to help in that aspect?
Yes, I know one thing Mr. Governor always says. For instance, when he came to my hometown on the 5th of January 2024 to commission the Alex Ekweme Civic Center, he said, what have you done for yourself? He expects to see what the community can do, and then governments can come in. There's no government, I believe, who won't be encouraged when the community has gathered themselves, come up with a proposal. Okay, we're ready to do this. This would cost us 20 billion, so on and so forth. We have come together as a community, have raised half this money. I don't think any reasonable government will not intervene. I'm using my community, for example, because obviously that's where I'm from. The PG was elected on the 30th of December 2024. As we speak, he's in Lagos, trying to meet with Indioko in Lagos. He has put together his proposals, what he needs to do, and is beginning to talk to people, the well-to-do people, to come together to help to develop our community. That civic center we're talking about was done by Indioko alone, no outside help. And now they're moving over to the community hospital. This is what we're talking about. So if they put together their proposals, for instance, and come to Mr. Governor and say, okay, we've done this civic center, we're about to do this community hospital, can you post 5 doctors, 10 nurses? I don't think Mr. Governor will say no when he sees a first-class hospital on ground. Yeah, so if the community can get their acts together, any reasonable government will support on it. After all, that's why it's called a partnership in the first place.
All right, so I'd like to know if, let me see, somebody from Oko or maybe one of the communities in your local government is listening and wants to key in. Is there like a rigorous process to follow, like inform the government I want to do this or that I can do this, or you just start up on your own and start doing it? Is there like a way, is there a benefit also for people who key in? Or is the benefit the fact that you're part of this government? You know, some people will say, when you do this road, the road will be named after you, or something that leaves a legacy. What is in it for them? And then, is there a process involved?
Well, first and foremost, if you help to develop your community, the first and foremost thing in it for you is that you too will benefit from that development because you're from that community. There's no direct process, so to speak. The chap who started all this work in Oko just woke up and was not happy with the fact that people didn't have houses to stay in, schools around where he went to primary school, dilapidated, and started working. Right, and started working. Obviously, he had to inform the local government or states, okay, I want to, because it's a state school, you can't just go there and start to do anything, you understand? But a simple letter will surface, and through the headmistress or through whoever is in charge at that level. It's not a tedious process at all. Simple letter will surface. So, in terms of other benefits, Mr. Governor says it all the time. As if you're ready to come and invest, if you're any community, he will be there physically. I think on January 7, he was in Obo, my local government again, to commission about 1.5 kilometers of road done by an Obo engineer. And this is after listening to him, Mr. Governor in Lagos, where he told them of the need to come back home and do such things. So that's what we are trying to do at the local level too, to begin to encourage people to come back and do these things, that the government can't provide all the resources. And Mr. Governor came himself. I think about 2 or 3 months ago, he was in Adaze, where he went to commission another, I'm not sure, 13 kilometers of road done by India Adaze as well. So he's willing to support. He's willing to be there. If you want the road to be named after you, we will give you the name of the road, even the one next to it and after it, if you're able to come and help us develop the communities and the local governments.
All right, now, going forward, we've seen some of these projects, we've seen them in process, we've seen communities. In fact, if I would even give a rating, I would say Anambra people are one of the highest people that invest in their communities. And now that the government is bringing a coordinated process to it, we are going to see more. Now, going forward, what are we going to expect? Especially from you as local government chairman, and maybe as example for others, how can we see that coordination happen at this level?
Yes, very good question. With all things new, if you want it to go far, if you want it to succeed, there must be coordination, there must be a plan. I think us at the local government level and even at the community level must begin to key into Mr. Governor's agenda for this PPCP. Begin to call parleys with your stakeholders. Say, these are the needs, these are what we can do, this is what we need your partnership in. Explain to them the benefits they will derive from it. We begin to key in across the 21 local governments so that we can gain traction. Yes, people are coming home to invest, but in my own view, there's still a wide gap of what can be done with regards to PPCP. So a structured approach, process for the PPCP has to be put together by government that everybody can key into. Us at the local government level, at the community level, and so on and so forth. So everybody knows this is the direction paper on this partnership model. And then we, at the local level, can all key into it. So I'm sure Mr. Governor and the team are on it. We on our own are not waiting for that document to come out. We've already started discussing with people to see what we can achieve here and there. And good enough, we're getting some responses, but you know, it takes time to get people to be able to, they need to begin to trust the government. And that's why, that's one of the benefits of the PPCP, because if they're handling this project themselves, they know each other. Like they all know each other. All the big men in my community know themselves. They can sit down in a room and say, okay, we can undertake this project and raise 20 billion, rather than an outsider coming to, you understand what I mean? When I say an outsider, I mean government, so to speak. So my job is to drive the vision of Mr. Governor with regards to this model, is to be able to explain to them, these are the benefits, so on and so forth. And then we leave them to come together and come up with how they would, and don't interfere in the process. Or bro, if you discuss with them, it's okay, bring it, I'll nominate contractor. I will do this, I'll do that. No, I'll allow them. What the government should do is oversight, you know, supervise, to go and see what is going on there. So I think we'll make headway if everybody, every stakeholder can key in and begin to explore the opportunities in this partnership model.
All right, so I'm happy we're looking at structures, road, hospitals, classroom. But you know, I have a little fear with a food sufficiency, for instance, and then with the we're already in the rainy season. It's just I don't understand the heat, so I feel like I feel maybe we'll still enter the rainy season. So with us about to enter the rainy season, you know, we are scared of flooding, erosions, and things like this. So I'd like to know this PPCP model of Soludo's government? How can it help? In terms of food sufficiency, you get to hear, oh, we're bringing it over from the north. We're bringing it over from the north. Oh, there is no road. We couldn't bring this one. Food stuff are very expensive. Even some of the ones that are supposed to be produced in Anambra State, you get. So my question now is, how can this PPCP model play a role? Food and natural or environmental disasters. Does it play a role?
Yes, I think when you talk about public-private community partnership, it covers every aspect of human endeavor. It just depends on what is the priority or needs of that particular community. Agriculture is very key. It's very important. In Orumba North, for instance, we have vast land. We're talking to one or two people to come and bring some development in that sector. And then the partnership there from government is that we provide the land, they come and have the inputs. Because you know, agricultural produce and that value chain takes quite some time. But thank God it started, obviously, with the oil and palm seedlings distribution, which about 1.2 million seedlings from Mr. Governor were distributed last year. I think we're planning to double it this year. These things take some time to come to fruition, but at least that process has started. With regards to the environment, it's a major one. You always hear Mr. Governor say that if you multiply Anambra State budget times 10, it will not solve the environmental issues we have in the state. That is how bad the situation is. But little drops of water make an ocean. Little drops of water make an ocean. The communities can start little by little. Take control of your immediate environmental issues, those ones you can manage. Don't block your drainage. We discussed this last time I was here.
Yes,
exactly. Don't block little things. The partnership we're talking about doesn't always have to be in billions. Roads, bridges, infrastructure, like you said. Little things communities can do that will make a difference. It may not be immediate, but in years to come, you will see the difference those little partnerships and actions would take. So it covers every area.
So what are those little things that, because as we're about to round up, some people might be saying, so I'd like to know, what are those little things that you feel, what's it called, street people will say at all now winch. What are those little things that you feel like everybody in a community should be able to find a place to key in these little ones that can help maintain the infrastructures that are already in place, the ones that will come in through the partnership, and even the ones that will come in the future? What can be done to help maintain these things?
Well, first of all, I don't believe that no one has nothing to offer. Everybody has something to offer. It just depends on your mindset. If we're talking about the environment, for instance, you can't keep telling somebody the same thing over and over again. Okay, nekwa shop geba, but you're sweeping the dirt into the gutter, and then the water doesn't flow. The water comes onto the road damages after billions have been spent, right? So take care of your immediate environment. Little things you can do yourself. Nobody needs to tell you. I don't need to come from my office in Ajali down to Orbo Market and tell them, make sure you have dustbin here. Don't sweep into the gutter. Little things. That's what we mean by little things that they can do. Also, with terms to infrastructure, you don't need to bring money. If you see somebody vandalizing maybe NEPA, EEDC installations or street lights government has spent billions on, you can make phone calls. You can report to DPO. Don't say it doesn't concern me and you pass and go to your house. These are little things we expect indigenes or various communities to be able to do, to be able to maintain all this infrastructure, for us to be able to develop as communities, as local governments, as a state.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gochukwu Ekwueme. I'm always excited having you here in the studio. It's been nice having you.
Thank you very much. I'm always happy to come here and exchange ideas. It's our state, and we must move it forward, no matter whatever little efforts we make. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for shedding more light into the PPCP model. A lot of people have been asking me a lot of questions. I think now you freed me. All right, so from here, we hope you're able to understand that the master Igbo. Now you come on or mafia. So I feel like we should all put in our best. Just like the TC chairman of Orumba North said, Nobody has nothing to offer. Everybody has something to offer. Look within yourself and tell yourself the truth. Even the little things you do around you within your home has a big contribution to the society at large.
All right, join us now to our breakfast news today for breakfast news at 8.